In 1947, a young Bedouin shepherd was tending his flock near the Dead Sea, in a place called Qumran, a remote and arid region in modern-day Israel. As he wandered, one of his goats went missing. In an attempt to scare it out of a cave, he threw a rock into the darkness. To his surprise, instead of hearing the sound of the rock hitting the ground, there was the unmistakable shattering of pottery. Intrigued, he and his companions explored further. What they found inside that cave was astonishing. Ancient scrolls preserved in jars. Little did they know, this would be the beginning of one of the most important archaeological finds in history. The scrolls they uncovered would come to be known as the Dead Sea Scrolls. What are the Dead Sea Scrolls? The scrolls date back to around the 3rd century BCE to the 1st century CE, making them over 2,000 years old. There are nearly 1,000 documents written primarily in Hebrew, with some in Aramaic and Greek. They include both biblical and non-biblical texts. What makes these scrolls so significant is that they contain the oldest surviving copies of many of the books of the Hebrew Bible, also known as the Old Testament, predating any other known copies by nearly a millennium. They include fragments of every book from the Hebrew Bible, except for the Book of Esther. Among the texts, there are also writings that offer insights into the religious and cultural beliefs of the time. Some of these are previously unknown writings, including hymns, prayers, and community rules, that give a glimpse into the lives of an ancient Jewish sect. Who wrote the scrolls? The exact origins of the scrolls remain a subject of debate among scholars. However, the most widely accepted theory is that they were written or collected by a Jewish sect known as the Essenes. The Essenes lived a strict monastic lifestyle, withdrawing from the corruption they saw in the Jewish religious leadership in Jerusalem. They established a community near Qumran, where they copied sacred texts and wrote their own interpretations. This group, devoted to purity and awaiting the end of days, likely hid the scrolls in the caves to protect them from Roman forces during the Jewish revolt against Rome in 66 to 70 CE. The scrolls' journey to the world. After their initial discovery, more caves were explored, and between 1947 and 1956, scrolls were found in 11 different caves around Qumran. The Bedouin shepherds, hoping to sell the scrolls, brought them to local antiquities dealers. Eventually, scholars recognized their importance, and a frantic search began to recover and study these ancient documents. In 1949, the caves were officially excavated by archaeologists, revealing even more scrolls and fragments. The pieces of the Dead Sea Scrolls made their way into the hands of researchers, museums, and even private collectors, often in dramatic fashion. Some of the scrolls were sold on the black market or smuggled out of the region. In fact, a set of 4 scrolls was famously advertised in the Wall Street Journal in 1954, where an Israeli archaeologist acquired them for the newly established State of Israel. What did the scrolls reveal? The scrolls contain not only biblical texts but also sectarian documents unique to the Essene community. One of the most famous non-biblical texts is the Community Rule, a kind of guidebook for the members of the Essene sect. It details their way of life, from daily routines to rituals for purification, and their interpretation of the scriptures. There's also the War Scroll, which describes an apocalyptic vision of a great battle between the forces of light, believed to be the Essenes and their allies, and the forces of darkness, which included everyone else, like the Romans and corrupt Jewish leaders. It paints a vivid picture of how these people saw the world, a cosmic struggle between good and evil. Another key find is the Temple Scroll, a lengthy text detailing how the temple in Jerusalem should be built and how sacrifices should be conducted according to a more ideal version of the Jewish law. Why are the Dead Sea Scrolls important today? The Dead Sea Scrolls provide an unparalleled look into the religious thoughts and practices during a crucial time in history, when Judaism and Christianity were forming their core beliefs. These texts give scholars a better understanding of the world in which the Bible was written and the diversity of Jewish thought before the destruction of the Second Temple. The discovery of the scrolls also helped scholars confirm the accuracy of the Hebrew Bible's transmission over the centuries. Despite the scrolls being more than 2,000 years old, the texts show that the biblical manuscripts have remained remarkably consistent over time, a testament to the careful preservation of these sacred texts.